Welcome back, guys. I am Follygon, and this is day 16 of Sculptober with the prompt Greed. In this one, I'm going to be working on John Silver from the movie Treasure Planet. But before we dive in on the process, click that subscribe button if you're new around here, and check out gumroad.com/Follygon for all of my courses, brushes, and materials. So this one was a little bit tough because I ran out of time in quite a few different ways. I didn't get nearly as far as I wanted on the likeness and on the character as a whole. By the end of today's daily sketch for Sculptober, it's heading in the right direction, but you always have to keep in mind that it is just something quick for a daily piece, so you can't be too bent out of shape about these kinds of things. You're bound to have, a bad day here, a good day there, and you just gotta roll with the punches. Tomorrow will be a better piece, but for now at least we can still talk about the process. Because even if we have a bad day here and there, we can actually learn a lot from those. We learn most from failure, right? Not to say that this piece was a complete failure in any way, but like I said, it didn't get as far as I wanted it to. I think the main reason for that is because this character is quite complicated. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He has a lot of these mechanical hard surface parts going on around the side of his face, which took up quite a bit of time. I actually never even got to create really any part of the mechanical arm that's on the character's side. I would have loved to have done that. I think there's some really cool shapes going on over there with the character. But you know what? It is what it is. One of the reasons this character was so hard for me to complete was because there's just a lot of complexity going on. Lots of hard surface parts going on up around the eye. There's the arm, which I never even had time to get to. I just threw in a couple quick shapes to represent that for the render. And I couldn't really find a lot of good references online for this guy. I know it's kind of an older film and maybe it wasn't super popular, but there's really just not a lot of images of this character, or at least not a lot of consistent or high resolution images. And I've talked about this before with some of the older animated films, but the consistency in color is just non-existent. All the images that I was referencing for this guy, he was either super dark or super saturated in red. And those do not make good images for reference or good images for sampling color value. So I had to eyeball a lot of that for this character. But I blocked out most of the main shapes for the head here, including his giant schnoz. Still a pretty fun character and pretty fun shapes for the stuff that I did get to work on. I really enjoyed a lot of that. I love sculpting fat characters. I think it's actually really fun to work on these larger organic forms. Similar in kind of workflow to working on something like hair, where you have kind of this kind of flow to the major shape that you're working on. The same thing is true when you have these larger kind of rolls of skin and stuff going on like I do with the character's face here. The body for this guy was super simple, just 3 spheres that I threw together and began creating kind of his nice man boobs, got those going on. I think this character is also, I say man boobs, right? But I think this character is actually supposed to be an animal. A lot of the characters from Treasure Planet, I don't really, or at least I didn't really remember this very well, but a lot of the characters are very anthropomorphized. So like the ship's captain, I'm not sure exactly what she is, but she's kind of like fox-like a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what animal she's supposed to be or what animal or anthropomorphized animal this guy is supposed to be for John Silver, but I totally forgot about that film. There's a lot of really interesting characters with this. Already you can see some of those super saturated red colors going on. The initial colors that I had on the character's face here were sampled from screenshots directly from the film, and I kept them on the face for a while as I sculpted, but eventually I just had to remove them all completely. They were really getting in the way. I've talked in the past how color, texture, material, all that stuff can kind of get in the way of you seeing the actual form of your sculpture, which of course is the most important part. It's what I focus on more than anything. A lot of the time I'll see comments about skin tone or stuff like that, and for me I'm like, well, I'm kind of more focused on the form over here. The colors to me don't really matter too much, but I do like for those colors to be harmonious and work well together. And with the character here, as you can see, or as you saw previously, lots of just crazy, ridiculous saturated reds everywhere. And I thought that looked pretty bad. I wasn't a huge fan of that. So I had to kind of just look at a bunch of screenshots together, and because I couldn't really sample from those, I had to eyeball a lot of those colors and try to get as close as I could and try to find a nice relationship between those as well. So a really great example is if you look at the character's shirt, that is supposed to be more of just like a tan or a cream color shirt, but from the sampled image, you can see how much of a reddish hue is added to that from that original sampled image. Continuing on, some more stuff going on with the face in terms of proportional changes. Typically during those blockout stages, a lot of hard shapes, a lot of hard plane changes. Obviously for a face like this, we have a lot of soft, rounded forms, and we need to start getting rid of those hard plane changes. So that involves going through with things like trim brushes to kind of bevel out and soften edges. I'll also very gently go through with smooth brushes, being very careful to make sure that I don't lose the primary form that I originally had there. Now we're off to some of the mechanical parts for the character. I wanted to focus a little bit more on some of the mechanical stuff here for the side of the face. I simplified a lot of the form over here because there's quite a bit going on, and I, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, didn't have a ton of time for this guy and would have loved to have had more, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. But yes, I often don't focus a lot on the hard surface poly modeling stuff here in ZBrush for you guys because oftentimes it's pretty boring, but I thought there was some fun stuff going on here using some quick radial tricks by using the transpose line, snapping to the center of that rounded cylindrical object, and then duplicating that shape around in a circle. After I did that, I set that to a negative Boolean subtraction and then removed it from that shape as a whole. So some pretty cool stuff that you can do here in ZBrush with hard surface modeling. I love the Z Modeler brush. I use it every single day. Great little tool. I highly encourage people to learn how to use it, and using that in combination with things like live Boolean is a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of variation and stuff that you can do with it. Really, sky's the limit. Play around with it if you've never heard of it. I'll actually link a little live stream that I did not too long ago that kind of goes through in real time showing the process for using the Z Modeler tool, or brush I should say technically. And if you guys have any questions on that, of course you can feel free to leave those in the comment of that video or even this one. Some quick changes to the character to push that neck down. I was feeling a bit too long. He has a lot of stuff going on here. Like I said, we're definitely feeling a bit more like the character of John Silver. Great name, by the way. All these pirate captains, or I don't remember if he was a captain or not. I feel like he was like a mechanic or a cook. It's been so long since I've seen Treasure Planet, I can't really remember. But either way, what's up with pirates having a color in their name? That's always been a theme. I don't know why. Some changes to the expression here for the brow and mouth. Nothing complicated, but just some simple tweaks and fixes. At this point, I was pretty much out of time for the day. I had a lot of other stuff that I needed to get done. I'm recording this audio later at night because I didn't have time to do so earlier. But for the most part, that is pretty much it for this guy. I do a couple little tiny things here at the end, as I always do. One of those little things was creating this little kind of shoulder piece. It's like a pad for his mechanical arm that sticks out around the neck. I was working on that again with the Z Modeler brush, and I was having a lot of errors with this piece of geometry. I don't know how it happened. I was hoping that I would see it back here on the recording. I did not catch it, but I had some weird double-sided geometry going on there. It was a pretty odd error, but I ended up fixing it, deleting some polys and blah blah blah, some technical mumbo jumbo. No worries, either way I got it to work out, so we got that little piece in there. Got a couple extra little pieces here at the end, like an earring for his ear, as well as the little kind of beginning of the mechanical arm. I don't show off that process here though, just because it's pretty much a sphere that I chopped off the arm, threw a sphere in there, and had a little bit of that poke through for the render. But hey, that's gonna be all for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new around here, click that subscribe button. And if you wanna learn more about digital sculpting, check out gumroad.com/Follygon for all of my courses, brushes, and materials. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, maybe learned something new along the way, and I will see you tomorrow for day 17 of Sculptober with the prompt horn.